It's funny, isn't it? How often we find ourselves telling us stories every day. Really.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's how we connect, right? From casual chats with friends to like nailing that job interview.
It's true. Stories, they're how we make sense of things.
Right. But here's the thing. Do we ever really stop and think about how we tell them?
That's the key, isn't it?
Totally. And that's what we're diving into today. See if we can get better at it.
Yeah.
This guide we've got, it's all about finding that hidden potential in, the stuff we've all been through.
And it's amazing how much power there is in sharing your story, right? Goes way beyond just keeping your buddies entertained.
No kidding. It's deeper than that, for sure. One thing that really struck me reading this was how it talks about the psychology of sharing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not just about rehashing the events, but how we process them, find the meaning, maybe even see our own past a little differently.
It's like therapy almost, isn't it? Putting those memories into words.
Exactly.
Especially the tough ones. Powerful stuff.
Totally. Like I remember this one time, I was trying to navigate a foreign city, right?
Whoa.
And all I had was a phrase book and a whole lot of hand gestures.
Yeah. Oh, no. How'd that go?
Well, at the time,
Yeah.
stressful. But telling it now,
Yeah.
hilarious. It's like a reminder I can get through anything.
Yeah.
But that's just, scratching the surface, right? This guy doesn't stop at why we share. It digs into the how, which is really cool.
Gets interesting, that's for sure. Like one of the big takeaways for me, even the most incredible story falls flat without, a good structure.
It's got to be organized.
Like building a house. You need that foundation, the walls, the roof.
Otherwise, it's just a pile of.
Exactly.
So how do we do that? Build that structure, I mean. What's the guide say?
Well, it all starts with thinking of your story, any story, like a play, right?
Okay, like 3 acts.
Exactly. Beginning sets the scene, introduces everybody. Middle is where the action is. Things get good. And the ending. That's where you got to stick the landing. Resolution, big reveal, the lesson learned,
Makes sense. Because I can't tell you how many times someone's telling a story and they lose the plot. I'm like, wait, what were we talking about again?
Happens all the time. And that's where that structure comes in. Keeps everyone on track, you and the listener. Every detail matters.
Got it. Structure is key. So besides that, what else makes a story engaging?
Well, the guide talks a lot about details, those little things that bring it to life.
Oh, you mean like instead of it was a hot day?
Yeah, exactly. The sun was blazing. I could feel it melting my skin, Got to paint that picture.
I can practically feel it. But there's more to it than just details, right?
You got it. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. The guide. Big on emotion.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, got to tap into those feelings, the ones you felt way back when, and bring your listener along for the ride.
Okay, I'm with you. Structure, details, emotion. It's all starting to come together.
Yeah.
But isn't there a risk? We get so caught up in telling our story, we forget to actually listen.
Oh, 100%. It's a two-way street, this storytelling business.
Totally. So how do we get better at that? Because let's be real, sometimes it's hard to resist jumping in with our own Me Too story,
Oh, tell me about it. That's the thing, right? Active listening. It's an art form, but this guide, thankfully, breaks it down. It's about being present more than just like hearing the words, asking questions, making the other person feel heard, really heard.
So instead of just nodding along, waiting for our turn, we got to be engaged.
Exactly. It's about shifting that mindset from me sharing to us connecting.
That's a really cool way to put it. Makes me wonder, though, how do we go beyond just connecting? Can we actually use stories to learn, grow from those experiences? It's like we almost forget, don't we? That listening is just as important, if not more so, than doing all the talking.
It's true. So easy to get caught up in our own heads, waiting for our turn to jump in.
Totally. But this guide, it really got me thinking differently about that. It's all about understanding, not just being heard, right?
And that's where, like we were saying, active listening really comes in.
Absolutely. It reminded me of something I read a while back, actually. Apparently, when you ask someone questions about their story, it actually helps them remember it better later on.
No kidding.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? Like, good listeners are basically memory wizards.
That's fascinating. It's like by being present, truly present in that
That's
conversation,
not just listening.
you're helping them hold on to those memories.
Exactly. And it makes such a difference. I mean, the guide even gives examples, right? Like, instead of just saying, wow, that's crazy, when someone's telling you about something wild.
Which, let's be honest, we've all done.
Oh, totally. But instead, you ask, like, what were you thinking when that was happening? Or what did you learn from that?
Suddenly, it's not just an anecdote anymore. It's a shared moment of, reflection.
Totally. It's like you're digging beneath the surface. But I'm curious, this all makes sense for like personal conversations, but what about other parts of life? Does the guide talk about that?
Oh, for sure. It actually emphasizes that these storytelling skills, they're like universally applicable, you know?
Yeah.
Think about it. You're at a networking thing. Someone asks about your career path. Instead of listing off job titles, boring everyone to tears,
Right. Who wants to hear that?
you tell a story that shows off your skills, what you're passionate about.
Make it memorable.
Exactly. Or even like think about leadership. A good leader, they know how to tell a story that gets their team fired up.
Inspires them.
Exactly. Gets them on board with the vision.
And on the flip side, being a good listener, that makes you a better friend, partner, family member.
It creates that safe space,
Yeah.
where people can be vulnerable, share their stories without judgment. And that's how you build real connection.
So it all comes back to that, doesn't it? Connection.
No.
Whether we're talking about telling stories or listening to them, it's a fundamental human need.
It really is. We're hardwired for it, right?
Yeah.
To feel like we belong, like we're not alone in what we've been through.
And stories, sharing them, listening to them, that's how we tap into that. So if you want to build stronger relationships, have a bigger impact, maybe it's time we all pay a little more attention to the stories we tell.
And how we listen to the stories of others.
Exactly. Because like this guide reminds us, our stories have power. They can teach, they can inspire, they can heal. It's really incredible when you think about it.
It's a gift. And it's up to us to use it well.
Absolutely. So we've got this toolkit for connection just waiting to be opened. Yeah, it's really amazing when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
This whole idea that we can connect with anyone through stories.
That's a powerful thing for sure.
We've talked about the why and the how, but I think where the rubber really meets the road is putting it all into practice.
Right.
Taking what we've learned and actually using it.
Absolutely. This guide, it's not just some theoretical exercise. It's about giving you the tools, and then you got to go out and use them.
So for someone listening ready to take that step, what would you say? Where do they start?
Well, the guide has this great challenge. It's simple, but powerful. Think about how your experiences, your unique stories can inspire others.
Ooh, I like that.
What's that story you've been holding back? Maybe it feels too personal or like, no one would care about that.
But that's the thing, isn't it? We tend to underestimate the power of our own experiences.
Exactly. Every story matters, even the messy ones, the ones that didn't go as planned.
Those are often the best ones.
They really are. And here's the other thing. Sharing your story, it doesn't mean you have all the answers. You don't need some big, profound takeaway every time.
Sometimes it's just about getting it out there.
Exactly. Just voicing it, letting someone else bear witness, that in itself is powerful.
It's about vulnerability.
100%. Being real, authentic. And as you do that more, share more of yourself, the world opens up a little bit. More compassion, more understanding.
It's like this ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Just from sharing a story. Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive here. We've explored why stories matter, how to craft a good one, and the importance of truly listening when someone shares theirs with us.
It's been a pleasure, as always, talking about this with you.
Likewise. And to everyone listening, we encourage you, revisit this guide, put these ideas into practice. Don't be afraid to share your stories. You never know who needs to hear them. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep those stories coming.